Hey guys, it is Carly here bringing you episode number 20 of my entire horror movie collection series, and this is going to be the last episode for this, and it's not going to be very long because I really didn't have that much left to show, to be completely honest. It's just that I was thinking about making last video the last one, but I kept trying to re-record and my throat just kept getting all dry and it was hard to talk for that long of a period of time, and you know I'm lazy and don't really edit my videos, so I figured I would just make an episode 20 where I show the rest of my VHS collection as well as a few horror-ish novels that I happen to own and have read, just to add a little bit more into this, and they are also tacked onto my horror shelf, so I figured why not. This is just a small amount of books. I do have a lot more that I've recently picked up at Goodwill's and things like that, but since I have not read them yet, I have not added them to the shelves, and they will be in an update video that should be coming soon in a few weeks or so, so there's that. I'm just going to go ahead and get right on into this. As I said, there's not too much left, but first up we have something that might seem a little random, and that is Goosebumps, the Stay Out of the Basement episode in this clamshell. The reason that this is just kind of lumped into this section here, it's not in alphabetical order or anything like that, is because it did not fit on the shelf, sadly. This is bigger than I thought it was, and yeah, it just did not fit correctly on the shelf, so I kind of just threw it at the bottom of the shelves and kind of have it just slanted on the shelf, and it kind of looks dumb, but what are you going to do? I was still happy to find this. I think it's a cool find. I think they only released 5 of these episodes or so on clamshell, if I'm not mistaken. This is very beat up, unfortunately, and kind of crappy, but yeah, I did watch this, and I was curious to rewatch it because I remembered it well from my childhood. It's one of those episodes that was obviously really popular, and I will say it was pretty cheesy. The acting is very cheesy in these, but I really enjoyed it, and I really hope to find the other ones that they put out. I know they put out The Haunted Mask and a few other popular ones, so I hope to find those to add them to the collection because this is just a cool little thing to have. So, Goosebumps. Next up we have Tremors. Yes, we left off actually with the tease, and Tremors 2, that is. I had never seen any of the Tremors movies, and this was the first one I seen because I just happened to find this VHS and figured might as well watch it. And I gotta say, the first time I watched it, I didn't really care for it all that much. They are fun movies, and they're not over-the-top horror or anything like that. They're kind of just for fun little monster type of movies, and I just didn't really like it that much. I did get the DVD collection of, I believe it's the 5 Tremors films from JP, and I did rewatch this one since, and I did like it a little bit more, but with that being said, I don't overly love, I've only seen part 1 and part 2 to be honest, but I don't overly love them, but they are fun movies, so I can see why people do really like them. After that we have Urban Legend. Yes, Urban Legend. This is one that I liked quite a bit when I was younger. Obviously, it's one of those 90s slashers that came out after Scream. I believe this one came out in 98. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well as the sequel. I don't really like Bloody Mary, but I've always liked this. And upon rewatch, I still like it. I still think it's not a bad movie, you know. I don't think I would say I like it better than, like, I Know What You Did Last Summer or Scream, but it's pretty solid for the time period. So yeah, Urban Legend, pretty cool concept too. After that we have Warlock Part 2 here. Once again, I have not seen the first Warlock film, but I just happened to find this on VHS, decided to pick it up because I thought it was kind of a cool find, and I actually had fun with this one, which I was surprised by. Just based on the cover and the title, I thought I was not going to like this. I didn't really know much about the Warlock films or anything like that. I don't even think I'd ever heard of them when I picked this up originally, so I didn't really have high hopes for it. It's definitely, once again, pretty cheesy, and I hear the first one is a lot better than this one, but with that being said, I thought it was okay and a fun movie. I still have to see the first one, and I know the third one is horrible, so I'm not in any hurry to see that one. But yeah, Warlock 2. After that, we have White Noise. White Noise, this is one that I remember watching a few times when I was younger, and I think I liked it back then. I tried to rewatch it recently, and I could not really get into it as much. I barely even paid attention to it, so yeah, I can't really tell you what all goes on in this movie. I know it has Michael Keaton in it, and I think he's a pretty good actor, but yeah. This is just one of those weird ones that when I was younger, I would watch it quite a bit, and now I don't think it's something that I really enjoy all that much. So, still cool to have in the collection, though. And that is it for the VHS there. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the books I have here. And starting off, we have a book called Secrets in the Attic by V.C. Andrews, and V.C. Andrews, she's mainly known for writing Flowers in the Attic and all those books. Flowers in the Attic, of course, became a movie, and it's a movie that I've always really liked. It really gets under my skin and really grosses me out at some points, just based on what's happening to these kids in the film. But anyway, Secrets in the Attic, it is not anything like Flowers in the Attic. I actually read this a long time ago. I might have been in middle school still. I feel like I was probably in 8th grade when I first read this, and I remember highly, highly enjoying it. I think I had issues with the ending of the book, and yeah, I don't fully remember the story behind this. I believe it's about a character who gets in trouble, like a teen girl gets in trouble, and then she's hiding out in her friend's attic. It's either this one or the sequel, I forget, but I do remember highly enjoying this book. After that, we have Secrets in the Shadows, which is the part 2 to Secrets in the Attic, and I don't remember this one at all either, but I remember thinking it was pretty good back in the day as well. Once again, this is one that I read a long time ago and never picked up since, but I've always had it in my collection, and yeah, I remember thinking this one was pretty good as well. It might have been this one that I had an issue with the ending. I know one of them I was just highly disappointed by how it all wrapped up, but yeah, definitely recommend these ones, I guess. I mean, I don't know how well they would hold up now. I'd be curious to reread them to see if I still enjoy them as much, but yeah, pretty cool. After that, we have Monsters, a field guide to bloodthirsty beasts. This is basically just a book showing random killers and things like that. Like you have Michael Myers and Jason on this page and things like that, and it's all just, that's all the book really is. It's just showing random people like Hannibal Lecter, and I believe my mom's friend got me this a few years ago, and because he knew I was really into horror when I was younger as well, so I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, I didn't really read this one technically. It's more of a book that you just kind of skim through and read certain parts that you think are cool, like on certain villains and things like that. So I think it's a pretty cool one to have in a collection. I always like books like this just because they're cool to look at when you're bored. After that, we have Stephen King's Carrie here. Yeah, I've had this one since I think I tried to read this back in 6th grade, maybe. It was the first Stephen King book, or more adult book, I should say, in general, that I ever tried to read. And I remember I really didn't pay too good attention to it. It was just kind of hard for me to understand. And I tried to read it later on in life, probably in 9th grade or something like that, 9th or 10th grade, and even then I really just could not get into this for some reason. I'd be curious to try to read Carrie once again. I know this is his first book, and obviously I love the film and the just story behind Carrie and things like that, but yeah, I'd be curious to try to reread this one, because for whatever reason, every time I read it, I either zone out and just don't pay attention, and then I'm totally lost in the story, or I don't know, I just could not get into this one for some reason, which is really weird. After that, we have Misery. I really like this one. I felt that the movie does a good job of being an adaptation of this book. The book is definitely more intense than the movie, but I feel that the movie does the best that it can, and it doesn't really leave out too many details for it to be totally different from the book. But yeah, the book is a lot more depressing and gloomy, but I really enjoyed it. This is one that I recently read a few months ago, so it's fresh in my memory. I picked this up at Goodwill, and I was happy to read it. It's actually what got me back into reading, so really good novel if you have not read it. After that, we have Revival. Revival. This is one that my friend Matt actually recommended to me because he really liked the story, and I believe they're trying to make a movie out of this one, if I'm not mistaken. And I started reading this, I remember, during kind of a point in my life where I was kind of a little bit depressed, and it took me forever to read this book. It took me like months to read it, so I can't really say that I got too engaged in the story, but from what I did read, I think it is pretty solid, and I think it would make a really good film. But yeah, this is yet another one that I feel like I did not pay close enough attention to, but like I said, from what I did read, it did seem like it would make a solid film. After that, we have Coast to Coast Ghost. This is one that I believe my mom got me for Christmas one year because, once again, she knew I was into horror, and back then I was really into paranormal stuff as well. I'm not so much into ghosts and things like that anymore just because I don't necessarily believe in them anymore as much as I did back then. I'm still open-minded, but yeah, so she picked this up for me, and I do remember reading this. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I think it's just random ghost stories from around the world, which is pretty cool, pretty creepy. I still enjoy things like this, even though I'm not as much into paranormal stuff anymore as I am to, like, you know, just basic horror and horror movies and stuff like that, but still pretty cool. After that, we have Night Frights, a collection of kids' horror novels and things like that, or not novels, just random horror stories. And I will say, I read this one, I forget, I've had this one for a long time, I think, since I was probably in elementary school, and I remember actually being pretty creeped out by some of the stories in here to the point where they gave me chills, so I would be interested in kind of going back through this. There are 39 scary tales in this book here, and yeah, I'd be curious to go back through and just read some of these and see if they still creep me out, because I remember just being a kid and actually finding some of the stories to be pretty creepy. Some of them were kind of stupid, but for the most part, I really remember enjoying this one. I always like collections of books, collections of short stories as well. I think they're pretty cool and easy to read. And then lastly, guys, we have The Babysitter by R.L. Stine. Recently showed this one in an update and gave the whole spiel about how I took this one out of the library. I think it was in middle school, probably like in 6th or 7th grade, and I was reading it. I was really into it, and I was almost finished with it, and then I lost it and was terrified to go to the library for the rest of the year. I literally did not check out any more books out of the library because I did not want to get in big trouble, and I thought I was going to owe all this money, and our librarian was kind of a psychopath, so I was extra scared to kind of confront her about it and or, you know, admit what I did to her. And then I remember going to the library and the book was there. Someone must have found it and returned it, so I worried for nothing. But yeah, that is the horror story I have behind this book, and I was really excited to find it at a Goodwill because it was something that I always wanted to reread because I was almost done with it, and it always kind of stuck in my head, the fact that I almost finished it and just could never find the book again, and I would look for it in bookstores and things like that, but obviously this book was made, I think, in 1989, so I didn't realize it was really old and you couldn't really find it in bookstores anymore, so I kind of gave up on that journey. But anyway, I did end up reading it again recently in my adult life, and it feels very, very centered towards kids because it is kids or young adults or whatever, but either way, it was still exciting to read it for nostalgia purposes, and I finally got to find out how it ended, so that is pretty cool. Recently, I did find other R.L. Stine books, and I'm pretty excited. I think that's something I'm going to just start collecting, and I will actually read them because they're easy to read. I know I'm a 21-year-old woman, and I should not be reading these children's books, but I I don't really care. I just think it's cool to find them and to collect them, and they will be in my next update video. So yeah, that is all I have in the way of books for right now and in movies in general. So thank you guys for joining me for this here video. If you have stuck around for all 20 of my collection videos, thank you very much. I know it's taken me like a year or so to get these all out. I didn't mean for it to take that long, but what are you going to do if you get busy and things like that? So yeah, once again, thank you guys for joining me for this video, and I will see you in the next one.